Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today, we are covering Play Dead. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. It's the first recording of the day, so be prepared for a wild ride.
This whole day is going to be a wild ride.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, especially once we get into Asian Horror Month, which look forward to that. See you in August.
See you next week.
2 weeks.
Is it 2?
Yes. Because this
not
episode comes out in
sleep.
July 24. On July 24.
Near enough sleep.
Yep. But anyway, so I am drinking the Republic of Tea Blueberry Lavender. Because it's our favorite.
Yes.
It's got green rooibos, hibiscus, butterfly pea flower, lemongrass, rose hips, apple. So sorry, V, you can't have it. Lavender, sweet blackberry leaves, hibiscus extract. Is there a gnat in here?
Yes, there is a gnat in here.
God damn it. Lemon balm, bamboo, blueberry, and chisandra. Ah! He'll be back. Anyways, thank you.
So I'm not gonna lie, it was on your face, and I had to resist the urge to slap.
Why did you tell me? Ew, I hate gnats. Gnats are nasty.
I didn't think you'd appreciate me slapping your face.
I would have been well, I guess I don't want bug guts on my face. But you could have been like... and then I would have probably freaked out and be like, oh my god, what's wrong?
Exactly.
Oh, but anyways.
Okay, anyway, I am drinking Republic of Tea's Super Green Tea Brain Boost. And it has... Dear God, where is it?
It's under the ingredients list.
It has organic green tea leaf, organic ginkgo leaf, organic Japanese green tea matcha leaf, organic ginkgo leaf powder. Ginkgo is a tree nut, so those with tree nut allergies, I'm sorry you can't have this. It's not a good idea, but it is delicious.
I really hope that gnat doesn't fly into one of our mouths. Because that would really suck.
You have worst case scenarios playing in your brain.
Oh, yeah, immediately. Because they're always, like, all up in your face, you know? But anyways, so thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love and have shenanigans. And for our tea sippers out there, thank you for listening to our shenanigans. And brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So for the summary of Play Dead. So essentially, this brother and sister are struggling to keep their childhood home. And the brother, in an effort to try and help his sister, was trying to steal to get money. And that didn't go so well. And essentially the proof that he collaborated with her former boyfriend, the former boyfriend got shot and he died. And so she is like, okay, give me this drug. I'm going to go into the morgue and get the cell phone and then get out of there. But there's a fun little twist about the coroner.
Yes.
Coroner that they reveal and that we'll talk about in a second. So, yep. Anyways, entertainment. It's going to be, I feel like we've gotten to the point of being a podcaster where we're just going to do it.
Also, we just started the day, so we're just...
A little loopy.
Yeah.
A little...
We'll hit our stride.
Yep.
Probably in recording 3 or 4.
We'll see. But anyways...
Generally speaking, that's what happens.
So for entertainment, for me, I really like the concept of this movie. I love the concept because it's so simple where it's like, you're like, oh, this is going to be straightforward. She's just going to go in, grab the evidence and get out. And then you find out that the coroner is actually like harvesting organs. And
yeah, it's not a milk run.
yeah, and the fact that they also have this extra layer of him like almost being almost like a light Yagami, where he's like, "Oh, I'm taking
doing
the organs
society a
of this
favor."
person, yeah, and saving someone that deserves it more." So that I thought was really interesting. I will say the execution isn't quite there for me. So I can't remember if I said the rating yet, but I rated a 7.25.
Gotcha.
So it's like the pieces are there and they're so close, but they don't quite fit together. Otherwise, like
the potential.
honestly, like if they had like fully like fleshed out this movie and all the pieces like were like perfectly aligned, this would probably be an 8 for me.
Oh yeah.
Like it, like the concept of it was really solid. But it's like I did like how well they set up the story, going into the. I know it's not like an actual morgue. Like, is it a funeral home? No, it's not a funeral home. I don't remember what the
old
term
hospital.
is. Yeah, it's an old hospital converted to said coroner's office.
Yes. Medical examiner's office.
Yeah. So I do like how they established like the characters, their motivation, their relationship. They really do a good job very quickly like showing that information to you. So that like was really solid with the movie. The characters are pretty unique as far as like you can tell that they have very distinct. It's like they might have like the brother and the sister, they might have somewhat similar motivations of like helping each other, but they have like very distinct like ways of going about it. And I will say that for the most part, like high level, the movie is pretty good with tension. Like especially watching it for the first time, there were some times where I was like, go, word, what are you doing? You know, it's just like you definitely feel the tension, and you feel how you do feel that the stakes are high. Like it's interesting because you don't really know how messed up the guy is, but you understand that something is not right. And so from the get-go, you're like, like she's in trouble. I don't know how in trouble she is, but she's really in trouble. And yeah, the whole twist about the coroner being this guy that's like harvesting organs, I thought was a really interesting twist. I will say, like, for the most part, and maybe you will change my mind in realism, but for the most part, I felt like the character wasn't like too dumb, but I mean there were things I'm like, wow, that's like really risky. Like her, like when he's in the room and she's sneaking up to try and get the keys, it's like, how is he not gonna notice? And I mean that's what really gives herself away anyways. But anyways, we'll go into
that part I actually understood, because she needs the keys to do anything. So that I get, and that was the best opportunity to get said keys.
It was
still risky, but that was honestly the best opportunity for it. So I get that. But we'll get to a lot more later.
Yeah, there's really only one really big complaint that I had about
one.
But
oh, I can't wait to hear that one.
But really my biggest complaint is like, well, first, like, the execution is like, I don't know how to explain how they didn't execute it right. All I know is that the movie, after you get to a certain point, it does feel like it kind of drags on. And it's like they're circling back to the same situation with, I mean, they did technically make the stakes a little bit higher, but I don't know. It did lose my interest a little bit after a while, but I will say that the ending was pretty satisfying. But anyways, that's what I got.
So, this was not my first time watching it. And if you go into it without picking apart everything, it is still entertaining to watch. The realism kind of drags me out of it a little bit, like it always does. And we'll get to a lot of that later. I am glad that this is one of the few movies that did not kill off the dog. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that.
That's a scary dog, though. It was definitely, like, very dangerous.
Yes, but it was also just doing what it was trained to do.
Right, right.
And it was a very well-behaved dog. In that it was doing what it was trained to do. Which was still, maim and detain, but... but it listened, and he was a good doggo. It's not his fault that his owners are sociopaths. There is a lot of tension in the movie. It is very intense. I definitely get where you're coming from, that it does kind of drag toward the end. Like, we get it.
I don't feel like it. I feel like it is like an hour and a half. Like, it's not a
too long,
movie.
but it feels longer.
Yeah.
And that's because at a certain point, like, how much more danger can you feel? Like, we already know, we get it. He's
they
dangerous.
Already capped
like,
it out.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
He's a problem. We get it. And he knows other people who are also problems.
Yeah.
So just throwing her brother in the mix, which he kind of sort of was already in danger to start with. Like, that's the whole point of her being in the place. So it doesn't really up it that much to have him physically in the place as well. So I definitely get where you're coming from. They capped it out a little too fast.
Yeah.
They ramped it up too fast.
Which I guess we did forget to do a warning that obviously based off of the context of the movie, this is very much like a body horror type of
definitely.
movie.
But the effects are great. I love how sticky the blood is when they do show it. Like, it's thick and it's sticky and it's the right color. For once, it is the right color and consistency.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job. And surprisingly, with it being, like, really good effects, it really didn't, like, the way that they, like, showed it, it really didn't bother me that much.
I mean, it was realistic, but they didn't do gore for the sake of gore. It was gore with a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't show too much,
yeah.
I feel like. Most of it was, like, toward the end. And that they could have done better on. But we'll get to that in realism. The antagonist was honestly, I think, the best one, acting-wise, out of all of them.
Yeah.
The girl did decent enough. But it was hard for me to appreciate her acting when her character, and I know a lot of it's just the script, but the character does so many stupid things, so many unnecessary stupid things that it just drives me nuts. I was ready by about the middle or so of the movie to bang my head against a wall.
See, it's like I mean...
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay. It's like I really didn't notice that much stuff.
Oh, I promise we'll get there. But she drove me nuts. Just taking her time with some things, doing unnecessary stuff. Like, I get that she's also kind of mourning her ex. But at the same time, like, you don't have time for this shit. Like, there is a guy that is clearly trying to kill you and harvest your organs. Not necessarily while you're dead. So, maybe don't sit there and hold your ex's hand for a little while. The sheriff was okay. I feel like it wasn't as big a reveal as they wanted it to be.
I really didn't like him as a character either.
No.
Like he was okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I liked the guy that picked up the organs
Mannix.
more. Yeah. Yeah.
He was funny. I don't know why he insisted on referring him to himself or as whatever in the third person. But he was funny. He was. Yep. It was not the worst movie we've seen, but it's also not the best. It kind of honestly fades into the background for me. I had forgotten about this movie completely, to be honest. So I give it a 6.75. Like it's all right, and it could have been better. I agree. It had a lot of potential. The concept itself is really good.
Yeah.
But it definitely fell short.
Yeah.
So it's all right, but it's one you'll probably forget in, a few weeks to a month or so.
So for realism, it's like I'm kind of taking into account like the gore and I'm taking like it all off of all from the movie, so that probably is why the rating's going to be maybe a little bit higher. But I personally gave it a 2.5. My biggest thing, and I mean, this does kind of like ruin the whole movie if you really think about it, but how would they, well, okay, there's two sides to this. Like, first, did they actually buy that she was dead? Like, even if her like body is cold, like there's other signs. It's not just about being cold. There's other signs of being dead that I feel like they would have checked before like being like, oh yeah, she's dead. But one thought that I had was, well, since we know that the cops are working with the coroner, like what if they're like, oh, she is barely alive, she's just a junkie, they can use some of her parts maybe. And so it's like I'm thinking there's two different sides. Either they really are that dumb and they really thought she was dead, which especially like police, but especially the coroner, like he works with dead bodies. He knows exactly what a dead body is like. But on the other hand, on the flip side, I can see that, oh, they knew that she wasn't dead, but they brought her in there anyways because they thought that.
That's definitely not the case. Because they put her in the freezer with the other actual dead bodies.
I guess that's true.
They didn't hook her up to an IV or anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so they were just dumb then.
Yep.
They're just dumb. I mean, they do show Ross like very briefly in the beginning, but I'm still like, how did he live? I don't understand how he lived. But and then also I don't understand how he could have bought the story that he was in a hospital.
Yeah.
Because even if it was an old hospital, like converted to coroner's office, it did not have hospital vibes at all. And he wasn't even in a bed. Like he was like on I don't know what you call it, but a gurney. It's like, no.
And not a padded one.
Yeah. And maybe perhaps he was like so out of it that that's just like the story that his brain told himself.
That was my guess. Especially if he looked over and saw like the IV.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like another one of those like flip sides. But if he if he wasn't delusional and he actually thought he's in a hospital, then how? At least from what I noticed, and I will be honest, I have seen the movie twice. This isn't the first time I've seen the movie. I didn't really see a whole lot of decisions that Chloe made that irked me. There were a few that I'm like, yeah, that wasn't a great idea. Like, really, the one that bugged me the most was when her and her brother were like safely in the vents, and then they came out of the vents. It's like, they have cameras everywhere, and you had your little hidey hole. They didn't know where you were. Why would you come out of that? Why? That was really like my biggest complaint because that, like, if they wouldn't have come out, then they likely wouldn't have been caught again unless if they, like, made a lot of noise or something.
They came out because they're bleeding hearts and were trying to save Mannix.
Yeah, but it's like...
Which did help them in a way because then he owed them and they made the agreement of
The money. So it's like, it did have a purpose. Like, it wasn't useless where it's just like action for the sake of action's sake. Like, something came out of it. But if you're hiding from someone and you know that there's cameras literally everywhere, why? But anyways, that's all I got.
So yours isn't bad. And the effects really did help.
Yeah, the effects were great.
The effects were really good. Apart from that last scene, that last fight scene with the main antagonist.
the
With the you know, foot-long cheekbone.
Yeah.
It wasn't a foot long, but it was ridiculously far out. That hardly bled any. You know.
Well, because it was...
I get it. I do. I just feel like there would have been a little bit more.
I don't know. I feel like I didn't look this up to validate this, but at least just like with a burn or something that like has frostbite, like there's not going to be a lot of blood because there's tissue damage.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. That is one of the few things I didn't look up. I did go down a rabbit hole at one point, but we'll get there.
Do you look up the medication she used for
No. I meant to, but no. I looked up freezing the lock. It would not have shattered like that. Everything that I looked up and saw videos, like video evidence of and everything, they had to submerge the lock in liquid nitrogen. Like, they didn't just spray it on there. You had to submerge it for several minutes. Several minutes. And even then, it didn't shatter. It broke, but it didn't shatter. So, no. That's like ceramic. No. But I give it a 1.75.
Okay.
And I still feel like that's a little generous, but it was mostly the effects. It's mostly the effects. And the antagonist's acting. He was a sociopath and a half. A narcissistic one at that.
Yeah. And what's interesting is the other role I've seen him in was actually, or the other roles I've seen him in tend to be more like comedy roles. So it was interesting to see him in a serious role.
I've seen him in like romantic roles too. Where he's really kind and sweet and kind of funny. So like this is a definitely different.
Yeah, good for him for changing things up.
For sure, and he does really well with it.
Yeah.
So, good job. He's got a range for sure. But let's start at the beginning, shall we? For Ross, when he gets shot, no EMTs were called at all. Like, the guy that shot him is presumably the one that called 911 because he was, dealing with an attempted robbery. But someone was shot and bleeding on the pavement, and he called 911 to report it, and no EMTs were sent out at all.
Yeah, it's like even if the cops were dirty,
police?
like it's...
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
That would be dispatch. And I highly doubt dispatch is in on it. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Especially since a lot of the calls are like there's more than one person taking those calls.
Yeah.
So it would be random who gets the call.
Right.
So that's BS. Which means the whole thing wouldn't have happened in and of itself right there. They just happen to know someone that can get them the anesthetic within hours. And is available to do so. And can grab it. Without getting caught. All within a couple hours. Sure.
But I mean, they were at a vet clinic, and there's a lot of
Still.
medication there.
That is still a highly controlled substance.
Yeah, but honestly, I have heard. I don't know how prevalent of an issue it is, but I have heard
I know
that
it's an
being
issue,
a thing.
but it's just very convenient, and it was a very
is convenient,
movie's got
yeah.
a movie
Yeah.
moment for sure.
Yeah,
Which we
because
still
I really
need
like
that.
shoehorn her
We
in.
need that as like a canvas right behind
Movie's
us.
got a
Just
movie.
Movie's got a movie. I need to make that on our Teespring. But also when she gets into the place and she is in that first room with the chick, the car accident chick, why was there so much blood on the floor?
Yeah, I would assume that the coroner would be very clean, especially
He was very meticulous
yes,
about
yeah.
everything. To the point where he notices when an outfit, a set of scrubs is missing. Like, no, there's not going to be blood like that on the floor. Also, just from what I've seen of, different things, the gurneys that they put them on, like, have a drain kind of system. And it goes to a specific place in the floor.
Right. Yeah.
So if there is a mess, it localizes it.
Yeah.
So why was it just on a random place in the floor? It was another movie's got a movie moment. And it just didn't make that much sense. It did show us a good amount, though, for the effects. And that is where I base a lot of it's sticky kind of, like the consistency.
Yeah.
So, thank you for showing us that. But at the same time, no. Then the lock would not have shattered like that. I went down a huge rabbit hole. I was looking at stuff for like half an hour. Trying to see if it was possible at all to do what she did with that lock. No. Then when she's caught and she's held to the gurney with fabric cuffs, which are held closed by fucking Velcro. The strap, when she moves, is inches away from her mouth without even bending. That's before bending over. I will show you the scene again. It bugged the ever-living fuck out of me. I was yelling at the screen. Chris, my husband, was there as well watching this, and he's like, "You stupid fuck." Like, what are you doing? It's inches away from her teeth without even bending towards it.
And she's like, "Here, let me grab
But
this
sure,
saw and
let
almost
me
like
cut them off.
yeah."
And make the most noise possible. Sure. I know Velcro is not the quietest thing either. But it would have been faster. Arguably quieter than a freaking bone saw. And easier. Just saying. Then the blood drip on her cheek while she's hanging under the middle of the gurney, well away from the edges of the gurney, is bullshit. It's just for added bullshit tension, which you don't really need. Like, it's already a problem. He's looking for her. She's having to hide. There's already enough tension. You don't have to have the blood drip.
Well, I kind of took it as like they were kind of cluing you in where she was, because as he's like looking through like the cabinets and stuff, like it looked like she might have been in a cabinet because they had the camera tilted, and then the blood fall, you're like, oh no, she's like either under the body or in one of those like refrigerated units. Like
It didn't add anything.
but yeah.
It really didn't, because they still had the reveal of, oh, she's under the
Right,
gurney.
yeah.
Like, there was no need for it. It was unnecessary. Then she takes so much fucking time just fucking around the place. She really does. Holding the dude's hand, kissing his forehead. Stop fucking around and move. Like, there is a guy that is trying to harvest your organs. Whether you're alive or not, he does not give a fuck. But you are going to die at some point, and it is not going to be pretty. Like, this is a certainty. And he is actively looking for you. So maybe don't stay in that one place not being productive. My husband, through a lot of this movie, was, okay, at this point she deserves to die. And I can't say I disagree with him. When she finally fucking gets to the evidence locker and finds it, his items, she doesn't take the cell phone. She doesn't take the cell phone. It's right there. She doesn't take it. Like, the guy leans down, grabs it. It had to have been, like, right on top. And she didn't grab it. The one thing she was there for. But she does grab the BB gun, which, BB gun or not, they likely still would have unloaded it. Just saying. Would it not have been procedure to unload it regardless of whether it's a fake gun or not?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. Also, just in general, is there not a day shift medical examiner? If he's the night shift?
There'd have to be.
Or unless he's working late, but even so, like, there's no other medical examiner at all?
It depends on how big the town is.
I know it used to be, he said that it used to be the biggest hospital in the county. And now it isn't. But that shouldn't mean that one doctor and only one doctor works there.
Oh yeah, no, that's completely possible. Because there's some counties that don't even have like a designated coroner. They're like, whoever's available that can. And that's why there's actually a pretty big problem with some causes of death being misreported, because coroners throughout like all of these like precincts and counties are so short staffed that they're just quickly looking and writing something down without doing their due diligence. So no, I can 100% see that, because I know that like it's already like a very understaffed like area.
Okay. And even if that's the case, which I still doubt because the place was pretty big, he also has access to the security room.
Oh, like you're saying, like they should have had like a security guard.
They should have had more staff in general. Where's the janitor? Where's the security? Especially if they're going to be dealing with organ harvesting. You would think they would up their security. Have them in on it, but up their security. Instead of having
more variables for people to leak.
Potentially, but doubtful. I just don't see why the medical examiner would have access to all of the security footage.
I mean,
and doors. Every single door ever. I can understand the doors that he would need to use, but it just seems like an abuse of power.
But I mean,
it doesn't make that much sense.
I mean, for all they know, it's just him like looking at bodies, so it's like it wouldn't be really an abuse of power. And I can see it based off of like, especially if he's paid by the city, it would depend on like how big of a budget the city has, because they have to have the budget to pay someone for security. And then I don't know, it's like, so whenever you are doing something you shouldn't be doing, like and this is for like I mean, it's like, you know, the whole, I mean, this is kind of like going down a really weird rabbit hole, but it's like Nixon and Watergate. Like, if you have too many people involved in like this grand scheme, someone's going to leak. Like, the more people you have involved, the more potential you have for someone to squeal.
Like, two can keep a secret if one of them is dead, kind of thing. But still, I still feel like there should have been more staff with that big of a place. It just didn't make that much sense.
I don't know. I can see it going either way. Because it's like if they converted it from an old hospital, and because they're like, we literally don't have the budget to create a coroner's office, and we're just using this building because if we didn't, we would just demolish the building. I could see the budget being so tight that they're just like, leave it up to one or two people's hands. But no, I can see where you're coming from too. I can see it either or. Is like we just don't have enough information to like fully like understand that situation.
Yeah. But this guy is responsible for the maintenance of the building, the security of the building, dealing with all of those bodies, logging the evidence. It just, there's too much for one person. And cleaning. I don't think so. No. No. And then at the very end, I was just curious, like, once they do get out, the medical examiner is now dead, the sheriff is dead. There's stuff everywhere. The dog is eating the medical examiner's body. So there's going to be an investigation, because clearly it's not like they died of natural causes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, did they wipe the whole goddamn place down of all of their fingerprints?
Well, they'd also have
Did they
to remove
take the security footage or wipe it clean? Like,
well, hopefully they would see that they were in danger.
that doesn't necessarily matter. She did sneak in to begin with. Like, they might be lenient with her because of the situation, and they might cut a deal with her because she, led them to organ trafficking. But
yeah, no, I see your point. Yeah. Uh-oh. They're like, we got the cell phone.
There's still the fact that her brother was in on the heist. Like, because it's going to come out if they find them both there. Like, why were you there to begin with?
Yeah.
Did you just break in for shits and giggles? No, you took something out of the evidence locker from the security footage. So, no. Like, you're still screwed. Still screwed.
Yeah, so it's like they did all of that to prevent the...
And probably get in even bigger trouble.
Yeah.
So, like...
That's a very good point.
Just saying. Entertaining movie. It is, for the most part. There's still there's a lot of decisions I didn't even write down that I was just frustrated with her with, and I just gave up at one point of writing stuff down. But on the whole, if you like don't nitpick like I do with every movie ever, it is entertaining. It's still a forgettable, I feel like, movie. But it is still interesting, especially the premise.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like premise interesting, execution
Falls short.
meh. Yeah, falls short. At least for me, it wasn't. Well, it's like one of those movies where it's like I don't think about it a lot. So in that case, it's forgettable. But like whenever I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that movie. Yeah. It's like, you know, if I get excited whenever it's like, but it's like, yeah, they had a lot of potential. But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord server. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
If you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring and PayPal, or we have our affiliate link with Republic of Tea available. It does not affect the price of the tea, it just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked below. But until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye.
Bye.